In the pilot for the amazing digital Circus, we were introduced to the concept of abstraction, where a character loses their mind and turns into a black quadruped creature with multicolored eyes all over its body. And I think it's pretty safe to say that they didn't introduce abstraction for them to only use it once. So I'm going to rank all the human characters by how likely they are to abstract. The things that will impact the ranking are how much it would make sense from a story perspective, how crazy the character is, and other miscellaneous things that will be mentioned when necessary. Starting with the character that I think is least likely to abstract, being Zubul. Zubul is the character we have seen the least of as of now, since they didn't participate in the adventure in episode 2, and didn't want to participate in episode 1, so it wouldn't really make sense for them to abstract from a story perspective. And from what we've seen, Zubul seems mentally well from what I can tell. Next up is Gangle, but before I continue, let's take a moment to appreciate Happy Gangle. Okay, appreciating time is over. Yet again, we haven't seen much of the character, so it wouldn't really make sense for them to abstract from a storyline perspective. But craziness-wise, we got a little bit to work with. First of all, there's the fact that Gangle is forced to be sad or happy based on what mask she has on. So after a while, that she has to be at least a little bit crazy. And then there's the fact that Gangle seems like she's the main target of Jax's bullying from what we've seen. So that would probably make someone at least a little bit crazy after a while. But speaking of Jax, he's up next. For him, I'm going to start off with his mental health, which on the surface looks mostly fine other than him being kind of a jerk to everybody, but I think that this is an act. I think Jax is pretending to not care even though he actually does. You know, a classic fake it till you make it strategy. But it's not really working. The reason that I think this is because of two scenes. The first one being in episode 2 when Kaufman's funeral is about to start. For a second you get to see Jax's face and he looks sad or regretful. He is sad that Kaufman abstracted, too sad to even go to his funeral. And the second scene comes from the Animini's announcement trailer, where everyone freezes, and before Jax freezes he said that he didn't get the chance to say, and then he gets cut off. I think that he was going to say that he actually does care about everyone. Obviously this is non-canon, so there's a chance that the characters' personalities are slightly different. And from a story perspective, it could make for a good scene where Jax admits that he does care and then abstracts. Next up on the list is Kinger, who story-wise makes a bit of sense since he is the person who's been in the circus for the longest time. So if he abstracts, it would make there be a bit of a timer for Pomni and the others to escape the circus. But that's a bit of a stretch. And we all know that Kinger is here on the list because he's just absolutely insane. Next up on the list is Ragatha, who from a story perspective makes sense because it would probably be the most emotional one, since Ragatha is the one that is being the nicest and most caring towards Pomni, even though Pomni doesn't seem to really care right now. And craziness wise, Ragatha is similar to Jax with her also faking it till she makes it. But with Ragatha, she pretends that she's happy and that everything is okay even though it's not. The reason that I say that this is an act is because in the scene where Ragatha, Jax, and Pomni are going to Kaufman's room, Ragatha talks about why they aren't trying to escape the circus. And it really gives off a vibe that she's not okay. Now if you've been paying attention, you realize that the number 1 spot goes to Pomni. And you're probably confused as to why I'm basically saying that the main character is going to die. Let's start off with her mental health. It's just bad. If you've seen the show, you don't need an explanation. And then there's Pomni's dream in episode 2, which is heavily hinting at the fact that Pomni will abstract and then get saved by the others. Also, Pomni has the most similarities to Kaufmo, such as going insane because of the exit door, and Pomni being a jester and Kaufmo being a clown, which aren't the same thing, but they are very similar. So yeah, that's my ranking of the Digital Circus cast based on how likely they are to abstract. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.